Okay, we're going on the YouTube site, so it's ready to go whenever. It's just ready to go. So whenever you're ready to start.
So I won't see the Zoom people?
You will. They're going to be on the left side.
On the left side?
Yeah. The right side, I have it set up so you can see on the right here. So they're going to pop up here. This is the Zoom chat, and this is the YouTube chat.
Okay. Good morning. How are you after all of that? A lot of work. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Jerry tells me that on Monday she let us know. Jerry told me that on Monday she'll.
Yeah. I'll move over for 11. Doesn't matter, it's all going into the computer.
So we only have this.
Yeah, we don't have the screen. We're getting very basic. Hello. What is your good name?
Evan.
Evan?
Yes.
Hi, Evan. Harvey. That's Janet. Welcome. How'd you hear about us?
Well, I heard that you're online researching Buddhist lessons a while ago, but I decided to come because I go to been going to the Houston Zen Center.
Oh, good.
For a little bit over a year.
Good.
And I overheard some people talking about this place, so I decided to come.
Kaisu, good morning.
Armila, good morning. We changed into winter time last night, so I'm now a little bit early.
Oh, you've changed your clocks? I think we do that next week.
Yeah, I know. There's always 1 week or 2 weeks a year that it's kind of confusing, even more than normal.
If I can remember, I'm gonna send you an article that I was reading.
Lovely.
Yeah. Well, we're there. So, good morning, everyone. And we are today in Houston Metropolitan Dance. We've got a little bit changed circumstances. I'm doing everything off of one single computer, so it feels a little bit different. But hopefully, can you hear me, Kaisu? Great. So we're talking about the Eightfold Path, and very, very quick thumbnail sketch. Siddhartha Gautama, young prince, somewhere between 483 and 563 BC. He was about 26 years old. His father was trying to isolate him from the realities of life. The young man got curious, went out, saw an old person, a sick person, a dead corpse, and then a wandering seeker. And he decided who was working to be free of old age, sickness, and death, especially the cycle of old age, sickness, and death, repetitive cycle, which in India at the time was believed due to karma, we are engaged in a process of painful rebirth. And he was seeking an escape from that painful process. Got to Bodh Gaya at the age of 32 after practicing a lot of both asceticism and meditative practices, and vowed not to get up unless he could figure out a way to be free. He did. It was the full moon of the 5th lunar month, and that's what we celebrate. Turns out it was also his birthday and the day of his ultimate, it's called parinirvana, ultimate liberation. And part of what he discovered was the eightfold, the Four Noble Truths, that there is in fact unsatisfactoriness, that there is a cause. The cause is clinging or resentment. There can be a cessation to the cycle. There can be freedom. And that can be achieved through 8 forms of behavior, skillful behavior, right view, right attitude, speech, action, livelihood, and effort, which we talked about, and we've gotten to the number 7 and 8, which I'm going to do as a guided imagery. It's not really imagery, a guided experience. So just find yourself in a comfortable meditative posture. And one form of skillful concentration we practice is we place our attention mindfully on the breath, either at the ring of the nostrils, in the throat, or we get to the energy of the process of breathing all the way in the belly at a spot 3 or 4 finger widths below the belly button, and 3 or 4 finger widths inside from the skin. And we can have our attention there for the moment. So to the extent that we are placing our attention on an object, whether it be the ring of the nostrils or the breath coming in and going into our lung area, then going out again, or the process of breathing in the center of the belly, we are skillfully and mindfully placing our attention, and so that is skillful mindfulness. We're also maintaining our concentration in that point, and that is skillful concentration. So do that for just a few moments. And continue in your meditative posture and orientation and alertness. And just take in what I'm saying. Eventually there'll be some instructions. The topic of skillful mindfulness is large. There are many forms of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, mindful of the feelings, mindfulness of the mind, mindfulness of Dharma. One very, very useful way of practicing mindfulness is to be mindful of different aspects of consciousness. So for this, you can have your eyes open just a little bit And if that is your predominant experience and we're practicing mindfulness, you would just note to yourself seeing. But if you're practicing mindfulness and you're all of a sudden hearing my voice, you just note hearing. But you may then notice that you're sensing the contact between the bottom of your body and what you're sitting on. And that can be identified as sensing. You could smell something, which would be smelling. You could taste something, would be tasting. You could remember that you have some shopping to do, which would be thinking. Or you may have some overwhelming feeling of kindness or anger or frustration. And you could just identify that as feeling. We have 6 sensory consciousnesses: sensing the body, seeing with the eye, hearing, 5 sensory consciousnesses, hearing with the ears, tasting, smelling. And then we have mind consciousness, knowing, and we're just separating out thinking, feeling as 2 forms of mind knowing. So when we practice mindfulness skillfully, skillful mindfulness, a way of doing it is just having our eyes very, very slightly open, but letting experience dictate what we're aware of. It may be seeing, maybe hearing, maybe sensing. Usually smelling and tasting are minor. Might be thinking, or it might be feeling. We don't try to control, we don't evaluate, we don't judge. We have curiosity and observe the process of impermanence. We have diverse experiences of consciousness. And so why don't we just spend a little bit of time really tracking which consciousness is predominant without any preference. If for whatever reason you have 10 minutes of eye consciousness, so be it. Seeing. You don't have to say it a lot, just seeing. If you hear something with your ears, hearing. You remember something thinkingly, thinking. Some feeling comes up, feeling. You notice the contact with your support, and sensing where there's something going on in some part of your body, some pleasure, some pain, sensing. And whatever experience it be, really be with that and know it. Labeling is just a kind of add-on support to support our moving into mindfulness. If it feels like it's an obstacle, you can drop the labeling and just notice the kaleidoscope of experience we'll just do that. The locus classicus for this particular mode of meditation is the Bahia Sutta. It's really a wonderful sutta. You can find it on Google in if you do a Google search. Bahia was another wanderer like Gautama, and he happened to see Gautama in town one day, and he was wearing bark cloth, and Gautama was going on his alms rounds collecting food, and Bahia just very rudely runs up to him and says, teach me the Dharma, so it'll be for my good and happiness for a long time. And Gautama says back, it's an unsuitable time, Bahia. We have entered among the houses for alms food. So this goes on 3 times. It's the classic for the way these discourses go. So finally, Gautama gives in. It's very, very quick. Here in Bahia, you should train yourself thus. In the seen will be merely what is seen. In the heard will be merely what is heard. In the sense will be merely what is sensed. In the cognized will be merely what is cognized. In this way, you should train yourself, Bahia. So short and simple. Just be with the consciousnesses that arise. And immediately, Bahia's mind was freed from the taints without grasping. And the punchline is, indeed, Bahia later that day was gored by a cow and died on the spot. But he had been liberated. Attained final nibbana. So it's a very, very powerful teaching. Being with whatever mode of consciousness is arising. It's right mindfulness. There's no mistakes. Whatever happens to be occurring, we experience it, we know it, we identify it, we just are aware. Any questions about what we taught this morning? We have a little bit of moment. Either online or live. Good morning. We're just finishing up a brief teachings, and we'll do some more teaching in a moment. The punchline within the Buddhist teaching is that our consciousnesses are a bit like pixels on a TV. Our perceptual organism is so slow that the pixels move quickly and present an image of solidity. What if our minds were quick? We would just be seeing dots of light. Like that, the teaching is our consciousnesses are fleetingly rapid, but are kind of, without training, we're not able to catch the fleetingness of it all, and we tend to make a whole out of those fleeting experiences, much as if you take a burning piece of charcoal and you swirl it in the dark, most people do not see just a point of charcoal, they see a circle. And they say, oh, circle. But it's just a point of light. And similarly, our experiences are just moments of experience, but we glom them together into something solid and enduring. And imagine that there's a lot more there than there. And that leads to a great deal of pain and anguish. So mindfulness of consciousness is a very, very direct manner of getting in touch with bare experience. It's very, very powerful. Buddha did live from then, which was 32, to another 48 years. He lived a total of 80. I'm forgetting the name of the city that he died in right now, but he did go to a particular area in northeast India. He would, as he described it, eat whatever fell into his begging bowl. So there's a bit of an argument about it, but it sounds like somebody put some bad meat into his begging bowl. Buddha was not a vegetarian. He just ate whatever was given to him. So if meat was given, he ate it. But it may have been bad meat, and got sick, and in a kind of famous way, lay down on his right side and expired. So in that particular city, there's a large statue of Buddha lying down on his right side, approaching death. He was probably cremated, and remains from that cremation were taken to various points in India where were built what are called stupa, which are these mounds. They started off as mounds, but they were meant to be places for people to go on pilgrimage to honor the memory of the Buddha. So there are remains in Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, where the first teaching was given, various other significant places, and art history-wise, from these mounds, eventually, when you see these buildings in East Asia with these sort of curved roofs, that's the artistic evolution of what became as these stupas. It's sort of an interesting art historical story, but pilgrimage became a part of Buddhist practice, where people would go to holy places to honor and be in touch with the sacred remains of Siddhartha Gautama. So we have talked about Buddha's life, we've talked about his teachings. We're thinking about what we'll do in the future by way of this kind of instruction. But for now, we have done the first part of an introduction to the Buddha's life. Next weekend, we have a very, very significant teaching, which is open to everyone, by Lama Tenzin Sampel. And that will be at that will be at St. Philip Presbyterian Church. And right now, we're going to do a changeover in terms of broadcasting.
Just for the YouTube side. So if you're on YouTube right now, we're going to swap the stream over to the meditation meeting.